So we were talking about going out and getting some bug shots and stuff for some upcoming classes. So we planned a trip down to the lower arc together. Decided, that would be the best bet based off of a little temperature spike we saw coming. We got down there, windshields frozen, windows frozen. I got back in the car, I won't lie. I got my waders out of the truck. It was cold. Gearing up, we're all talking about what we want to use. So we kind of diverge a little bit, having ideas of what we usually go to in this time of year and in this watershed. The arc can be easy and it can be really difficult. And so one of the main common flies all three of us use is that big annelid. Changing up what we're following it with was a big key, and I started off with a Baetis and a small wader midge. We started seeing some fish move and we separated up a little bit, and that's when Jacob hooked up. And that's when I started kind of, hey, what are you using? I was on a red annelid. All right, got that on. You hooked up and it was sucker.
And then sucker.
Over and over. But same thing, red annelid. Okay, that's got to be a point. So I left that on. Baetis was in the middle. I believe I ran a wader midge as the last fly in the back. Got some love on the Baetis, then got a really good brown on that annelid, nothing on the wader midge. And I believe at that time, probably warmed up, 38 degrees, enough to start seeing bug life, right? So I switched that back fly to the lane changer Baetis and came him up with a U actually, probably within, 10, 15 minutes. It just started happening, right? They started crushing the annelid here and there, but primarily the Baetis. Got up to this other hole, saw this big shadow. Remember looking at it and going, that's a fish. So I made a couple casts and I look over and that's when it was like, Nick, catch this fish. You got in position, and that's when it took off, and I'm like, no, he'll come back. And so I went up and around, and that's when I hear you yell, hey, got him! And Jacob's between us comes running down. That's just huge brown. That was definitely the trophy of the day. But definitely on a Baetis, and that became the pattern. I kept pushing forward with that rig, 2 Baetis and annelid, and just kept working up. I think we caught fish that whole rest of that day until we got itchy and decided to start pulling up debris and moss and rocks. And that's when we kind of confirmed it. We saw, 4 different mayflies. We saw some caddis, midge larvae, and then some annelid. So having all these different bugs around the water system really showed us, mayflies and annelids were the 2 dominant. Even there at the end, we got some pictures of tricos. We saw some blue wings full hatch right there off of the pile of sticks that we were plucking off of the key patterns. That Baetis emerging like that definitely represented the ghost case Baetis. It has that lighter case on it, so I feel like that was a really good attractor and that caught a lot. But the lane changer had the most action. It's a lighter color and it matched a lot of the really small lighter Baetis we saw. So I felt like that in a 22 was primarily the fly for that day. But it was really cool to see, that transition in the day where it really did go from really slow to like almost every other cast one of us was hooked up. So it's quite a typical, late fall, early winter type day. But that's the reason we went out there. We probably saw about 4 people, which is not really heard of around here, but definitely a possibility. So more of you don't know if you don't go type situation, right? The top 2 patterns that worked for us that day were the Anorm and the lane changer Baetis. Let's break down these flies and learn at a time so you guys can find success with them too. Today we're going to start with the Anorm. We're going to start with a Daiichi 1870 and Glow Bright floss. This fly was designed on the San Juan, but it has definitely held its place in the box. So all we're going to do is tie this in. I like to unspin the floss here, so that way it's nice and flat to wrap. What we're going to do is dress this all the way back to the back of the hook. To get to the back, I like to hold it in place with my finger while I spin it. I want to get it nice and tight. This is going to allow me to make circular ribs that really stand out on this fly going forward. I'm just going to segment it nice and even, keeping good tension on it all the way back up. My finger on it again to unspin. We're going to take some clear UV. This one specifically is Solera's Thin Hard formula. Actually do a nice even coat all the way around. This helps with the sync ratio, this helps with durability. It helps keep that bright red color in the fly as well. We're gonna go ahead and take our UV light. I like to cure it about 30 seconds on each side, just to make sure that that's got a full cure on it and that it's gonna give you some really good abrasion resistance. There's the Anorm ready to go. We're going to start with a size 20 Daiichi 1110. And for thread, we're going to start with 12-aught nano silk in white. Go ahead and begin dressing it. We're going to take a piece of 7x tippet here. I'm going to tie this in for the ribbing. We'll go ahead and stop 2/3 of the way down and go ahead and wrap back to help build a little taper in the thorax there. We're going to take some hen's body quill. This is BQ10, which is more of a kind of beige tan color. We're going to fold it over the nano silk like that, and we'll go ahead and tie that all the way back. Once I get to this last wrap, I like to throw in one really tight one at the back there, and we'll go ahead and walk this back up. We're going to go ahead and take our body quill and wrap it flat all the way up. We'll go ahead and tie it off. 2 or 3 wraps is fine. Just give it a good snug pull. Cut that. Go ahead and leave that second strand there for a tail. Now we're going to take the 7x and rib up. It's going to do 2 things. One, it's going to give a different color change for the rib. Where we pull tight, it kind of gets darker. But it also gives you a 3-dimensional rib when you see it from a side view or a front view. Go ahead and tie that off. And what we're going to do is go ahead and whip finish this thread. We're going to change to 12-aught dark mocha brown wax thread. I like the color change for a head. It shows some contrast to the body, but it also is a really good gripper for the CDC. So we're going to take a piece of natural CDC for the wing. I'll measure it about 3/4 of the body there. Pull it forward. Cut that, and we're going to take a piece of pearl micro glint, and we're going to use this kind of like legs and a attractor towards that thorax, kind of like the wings are coming out. Just pull them down to each side. We'll give it a quick little whip finish. Trim that. Pull the legs out just off to the side. I'm going to cut those just about the length of the CDC. I like to take the tail, fold it up to the eye, cut it just short of the eye. Then there's the lane changer bait just ready to go. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot to remember.
Just start with the top 2 patterns, and if we need to cut it together, we'll cut it together.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Keep looking right at it. Let's jump into these slides. We need to get a whiteboard.
I know. Yeah, I have one. Awesome. The only thing that's changed